So you got to do what you got to do, man. We use all the weapons at our disposal in this attention warfare, and my weapon of choice lately has been male pregnancy. For the simple reason that choose any celebrity or persona that you want, spam their mentions with the images of themselves as a pregnant man, and they essentially have no choice but to respond.
Welcome to TAO Talk, weekly blockmate show recapping all the news in the Bittensor ecosystem. I'm your host, 563, joined always by my co-host, Brody from Outpost. Today we have some special guests. We have WOMBO with Ben and Sami. Thanks so much, guys, for joining.
Yeah, Ben,
You're on mute, by the way.
it's been a really exciting week for you and Wombo. You've been leading a bunch of marketing initiatives. You've been all over the timeline, getting crazy engagement. You pressured Thread Guy to invite you to his poker game. Would just love for you to give us the rundown on how that went, and kind of, what came out of that, and how the vibes were over at the poker game.
Yeah, so I guess I should say about myself first that I'm not like originally a crypto guy. I don't have a cabal behind me. I don't have, insiders pumping my bags. But as we're sort of getting deeper and deeper into the crypto game, feels kind of necessary to build the network and image and sort of surround yourself with people who are deeper into the game than you are. So you got to do what you got to do, man. We use all the weapons at our disposal in this attention warfare, and my weapon of choice lately has been male pregnancy. For the simple reason that choose any celebrity or persona that you want, spam their mentions with the images of themselves as a pregnant man, and they essentially have no choice but to respond.
Well, it worked.
Awesome. Well, do you guys want to give a quick elevator pitch for WOMBO? What you guys been working on, your roles, origin stories, that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. So Wombo has a purely Web 2 origin. We've been making mobile apps that use AI in some form since 2020. Um, Products have over 200 million downloads. We have two number one hits. And so we've really kind of taken seriously the democratization and sort of making these apps and models extremely mainstream and user-friendly for people for many years now. Um, and just to sort of briefly introduce the crypto side of things, a bunch of people on the team, myself included, uh, had an interest in crypto. And at the end of 2023, start of 2024, we did like a very deep dive into the intersection of AI and crypto. And it's early now. It was even earlier then. But we came to a few conclusions, and one of the main conclusions we came to was that Bittensor was one of the most interesting and exciting places to get involved and start building. And so we did that around February, and had a few interesting projects and subnets and other things going on since. And yeah, excited to tell you guys more about that.
Yeah, Sami, you want to tell the people your role?
Yeah, so I've been with Wombo since day one. And so just kind of been growing and moving along with it. So when we started getting into crypto, I got really into it, and then got into Bittensor and started building like an AI subnet analyzer through the brainchild of Ben, and also just to try to figure out what the heck was going on and what were we involved with. And so, yeah, just been along for the ride and enjoying it so far.
Love it. Yeah, it's a really cool tool you guys showed off over on Novelty Search last week. That's I'm gonna have to steal that. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I think we're almost ready to ship the beta out for like early testers. So we'll definitely get you guys on, and really excited to have people starting to test it. Very excited to see what people do to break it. That's what I'm really pumped for, is how are people going to break it?
Let's go. Awesome. Well, let's jump in. Yeah, guys, it's gonna be fun. So this week, I think a lot of people are excited about there are more subnet slots. We moved from 52 to 64. How do you guys think about this? Is it better for subnets that are struggling with deregs? We talked about that last week with Nickel 5. It's tough when subnet gets deregged because it's tough to get re-registered and that sort of thing. Yeah, how do you guys think about these?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just ramble a few thoughts. First, as far as the dereg pressure, while it's nice for that to be alleviated, it's not much better to be like a newly registered subnet sitting at 0 or 0.02% emissions and just having like a few extra weeks of bandwidth. I mean, certainly it's good to have the safety net, but I think the real issue is subnet evaluation and how does the new subnet sort of gain a foothold and move out of the 0 to like 0.3, 0.5, 1% plus range. And it's only going to get trickier because the number of subnets are growing. The requirements to actually run a validator on all of the subnets, it just gets more and more complicated. And to add on top of that, the actual work of assessing the subnet and deciding how much weight it should get, it sort of just gets out of control really quickly. So, on our side, this AI-powered subnet evaluator, we think can be a part of the picture of the solution. We can't really outsource everything to the AI yet. Maybe in the not too distant future that'll be possible. Certainly, DTAO seems like it's going to be a part of the solution as well. I'm curious where you guys stand on this.
Yeah, I think DTAO is probably the easiest way to do it. Just make it market driven, make it incentivize people being early and sniffing around. Like you said, I think maybe an AI assistant could help inform market participants as well. Maybe that's the end goal. You have like a subnet that is just in charge of assigning weights based on some all powerful AI. But I don't think we're anywhere close to that. But I think speculation is a great tool to bring, you know, um, to assign value basically. And I think that'll help a lot of these struggling subnets that are struggling at 0.01% emissions, because, there could be some value there for investors.
So mechanically speaking, how do you see this playing out? Like, let's pretend we're in a DTAO world now, and DTAO is live, it's functioning, it's working as intended. How does that translate to new subnets securing weight for themselves and, being able to secure some of this market-driven demand? Or
You know,
or will it still largely be driven by the whales who have all of the TAO or most of the TAO?
what? People have to have skin in the game once it comes down to detail, and I think people are kind of sleeping on that fact. Um, I'm excited because, well, for teams like yours that are like leading on the marketing side, all these teams are going to have a marketing division. You have to get the word out there about the great work you're doing. You have to be your own number one fan, and it's just going to highlight all of them, right? Like highlight all of the accomplishments, all the updates from these subnets, and it's going to bring everybody up higher. So I'm really excited for that. It's People are going to lose money, obviously, but from speculation. But that's just the price you pay to have a system like this.
I truthfully think that all of the TAO will consolidate towards 5 to 7 subnets. And
Really?
the number of open slots for subnets is going to be pretty arbitrary because there will be infinite, but there will really be only 5 to 7 that truly win. And the kind of market philosophy associated with that is there will be consistent returns provided by those 5 to 7. And there's going to be kind of these higher beta trades, so to speak, for up and coming subnets that register that people will want to kind of take a bet on. And those beta plays will always be available, but I think you'll see a bulk of the subnets, or sorry, 5 to 7 of the subnets receive a bulk of the emissions, making it pretty capitalistic in nature. And that's kind of how capitalism works, right? Is it aggregates at the top. So, I mean, Like in a perfect world, like it's more distributed throughout all the subnets, but I think the amount of actual subnet slots open is pretty arbitrary.
Interesting.
We could
How
talk
do
about
you
that
think?
on a separate pod, but yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways it can go. But go ahead.
How do you think subnet owners should be preparing for the arrival of DTAO?
I think kind of what 563 was alluding to, like stronger marketing initiatives. I kind of have an opinion that a lot of consumer facing subnets will kind of win out and receive a lot of the attention and receive a lot of the aggregation of the capital, as we kind of seen with meme coins. It's really heavily mindshare driven, and I think consumer applications that have high virality receive more of that mindshare. Um, which I think doesn't play in favor of the subnets such as Macrocosmos, who are at the end of the day building really core and crucial AI infrastructure. But I don't know if it's really much of a narrative play as something such as Dippy, right? Where Dippy, it's like, hey, we can point to these very tangible things such as number 3 on the App Store, and our subnet powers that, and that's a really compelling case for people to kind of go out and take a bet on. So that's kind of my really early stage opinion about how this all shakes out. But yeah, curious to hear what you guys think. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, speaking plainly, I need to educate myself more. And, I vaguely grasp some of the detail ideas and abstract, but in terms of the actual like mechanics of it and how it's all going to work, I feel very undereducated and underprepared. Um, and so I think primarily it's my responsibility and the responsibility of other subnet owners to educate themselves. But I hope that by the end of the year there'll be more clear opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway for a lot of subnet owners is instead of advertising your work to a small set of validators, it's going to be advertising your work to the broader community, right? You have to get the word out there. I think that's going to be the biggest change. But yeah, let's move on. There's a lot of news that we have to get through, so let's get into it. Um, let's bring up let's bring up the screen over here. So nope, this one. So the folks over at Taoshi, Subnet 8 launched Glitch. So it's supposed to be an easy onboarding for institutional and retail clients. So for folks that don't know, Taoshi runs trading competition over on Subnet 8. So anyone that has, prop trading, quant trading, AI training, or sorry, trading, can compete, and whoever does the best wins the most rewards. And those trading signals that win out are what power these different trading signals. So what Glitch is going to do is you're going to be able to plug in directly to your exchanges or brokerage, and people can just, even if you're like an individual or you're a wealth manager, you can have access to those signals, to those tools. So I think this is really cool. And coming from the whole side of the crypto trading side of things, I think this really resonates with folks because they can actually use the outputs that these subnets are generating. I'm pretty pumped. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. We are dropping a Subnet 8 report um, here in the next week through Talpil with Sami, which is cool. We can actually talk about that because Ben is also working on Talpil. But yeah, overall, really interesting to see kind of these new experiments coming out on the subnets. Of course, we've got a bunch of experiments that we're going to talk about with the guys on the show right now. But yeah, I think this is a really interesting use case. It resonates really well with crypto traders, of course. Democratized alpha is really interesting. So it will be cool to see how people start to integrate these signals within their trading strategies.
I'm not a trader. I hold almost, I don't have any stocks. I have a bunch of like shit coins and meme coins and more serious coins. And to me, the prospect of basically being able to outsource my decision making to some far more intelligent system that is going to print money for me sounds great. Sign me up.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the beauty of Bittensor, right? You have subnets for all folks. So there's the AI focused ones, there's people that like pregnant men or like that like the memeable ones that you guys are working on, or um, just or traders. You know, it's generalized coordination networks. So I think it's pretty cool. Sam, any thoughts?
I actually ran this through the AI to see what it thought, like the AI subnet analyzer. And after seeing this, it said that subnet 8 was way undervalued, like upped the emissions, like thought it was
Wow.
great. I think by about double is what I'm looking at. Yeah, about double. So the AI says it's a good idea. I'm inclined to trust the AI. Yeah, when we're talking about like Subnet 8, so I just ran this report really quickly. So this is the Bittensor Subnet Analyzer, and I just ran a quick short report. So based on the new information, it's just taken into account all the Discord, GitHub commits, everything, and then taken a look at what the current emissions were and like the current ranking of the subnet, and then it's given it a valuation. So GPT has said that it's undervalued. It's given like what the updated emissions it thinks should be based on this new information. Same with Claude. And so, yeah, you got a bunch of different AI models that you can then use. There's also like a consensus report, which will run this several times. So you can choose like how many times you want it to run. And it'll start generating those reports and then take an average. So that way you get like a little bit more robust of a conclusion. So yeah, that's kind of like the basic outline. And then you can like download the reports after. This is one for Subnet 10. And then you have like the consensus report, which gives you each interim report, and you can see like, okay, how many times was it overvalued, undervalued? And it's just kind of a way like for you to base, I don't know, your weights, especially as DTAO comes along and like there's more people who aren't going to understand all of the subnets. It's one, a way to learn about them, and also a way to just kind of figure out what is a baseline, what does the AI say, and then how do I structure my beliefs around kind of a baseline. And that's it.
It's really cool. It's like a
Nice.
co-pilot for analyzing
Yeah.
subnets.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also this ask tab, which I built out, which now that I'm running it, it'll take a while to like generate. But I have this ask tab, which I've been using to like try to figure out what's going on in each of these subnets because I'm not terribly technical. So a lot of these go like way over my head. So I'm asking it questions like, okay, what's been the timeline? Like, can you explain this to me like I'm a 5-year-old who understands nothing about crypto? And so that's been really helpful as well.
Hopefully, this will hold subnet owners accountable for updating their docs, especially if this is getting a lot of traffic and people will want to visit this and use it. Like,
Yeah.
update your docs and you can get the most relevant information and people can make these educated decisions. So,
Yeah, that's been really helpful as well. Like, I think it'll also keep people up to date with the marketing. So again, as we talked about, like the marketing for these consumer subnets are going to be a lot more important as DTAO comes into play. So this marketing will also fare into this too. And like GitHub commits, like I can see the entire history for every single subnet. Like how active are these developers? What are they pushing? All this kind of information. So hopefully, yeah, this just creates like even more hype and like gets people even more involved.
Super cool. So for folks that are just listening in, they built this tool here that basically uses a bunch of different models to evaluate subnets based on all the inputs here. And you said it also tracks emissions too, so it gives an overvalued, undervalued submission as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it goes into detail about like what's the current rank, what are the current emissions, and it'll give what it believes the updated emissions should be and an updated rank if it deems that like it needs changing. So like there's an overvalued one, there's appropriate, there's undervalued, and you can see the AI models don't tend to agree, and part of that is because they all have different token limits, so we're passing in slightly different documentation for each one, so you're getting kind of a slightly different story for each AI model. But yeah, this just kind of it gives you a total overall look about new information and yeah.
Really cool. How does it know what other subnets are doing? Does it input all the data and then evaluate them against each other?
So it inputs the current ranking and the current emissions for all of the different subnets, but it currently for the reports, it analyzes each subnet individually. The one caveat for that is the ask feature. You can actually input multiple subnets and you can like make comparisons and you can ask about like specifics between the subnets. But for now, you're just kind of looking at it individually for the reports, but taking into account the other rankings for all the other subnets.
That's awesome. I can't wait to play around with this.
Yeah, I'm really excited to launch it. Again, I'm really excited to see how it's going to break, and I'm really curious as to like what people are going to take away from this and what feedback I can get, because that just helps me continue to build, and I like building this.
You can see your passion; it resonates through. So
yeah, it's fun because I get to learn about every subnet as I'm building it. And that's been really nice because I don't really like to sit down and just kind of like, grind and try to learn as much as I can because I don't feel I retain this. But this has been like a project that has helped me really dive deep and learn a lot more than I think I could have in any other context. So I really appreciate it for that. And that's why I'm hoping to go deeper with it. And I hope it takes off. It ends up being useful for people and we keep going with it.
incredible.
Perfect. Thanks, Sami. Appreciate that.
Thank you guys.
Do you happen to be working on this subnet analyzer with a rash at all?
Yeah. A little biased.
Arash, if you're listening to this, are you behind this?
No, unfortunately, Ben is the only AI overlord that the subnet analyzer knows of. But we'll branch out soon enough. Don't you worry. We'll branch out.
Even that's not enough, though. It's not recommending increasing our emissions.
Love it. Well, another one from another former guests of the show, Macrocosmos, they released the fact that they're bringing organic requests to their protein folding subnet over on 25. So we're getting the whole gambit of subnets today, different, all the smart folks over at Macrocosmos. Yeah, so basically what this means is researchers can incentivize miners to fold specific proteins. So pretty cool idea. And it's kind of opening the door to researchers basically paying for this service. But how do you guys think about, these organic requests, validators monetizing their bandwidth? You guys think about that a lot on your subnets?
Yeah. So this is a big question for us on the edge maxing subnet. High level, the goal of the edge maxing subnet is to produce optimized models for specific hardware. For example, stable diffusion on 4090s. And so today the subnet is very much in sort of like produce public goods validation kind of stage, where we want to prove that this works over and over again. And there's no one on the other side paying us to optimize a specific model for a specific hardware type. But that's where we see the future of the subnet going. And so it's nice to see others and other subnets making that happen. I also want to give a shout out to the Macrocosmos team after we launched our more recent subnet, Subnet 36. They were one of the quickest to reach out and say, what you're doing is cool. We'd love to collaborate. And now we've got a Discord group chat with some schemes going.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's exciting. Yeah, so what would that look like, Ben? Would that be like, it's for edge maxing. So if you want to like run a model on a fridge, you could say, this is my fridge type. How can I run ChatGPT on it?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe you pay us a few $100 million, and then we run the competition on your behalf.
It's so nice of you. Thank you. Cool. Well, let's wanted to highlight another team. We have the Omega Labs folks. They launched their Focused 1.0 program. So basically, we talked about this a while back when they announced they were working on it. But you can actually earn TAO by defining tasks and recording their completion. So say, so they had some examples here from the onboarding. So you can create a task and you can just record the video of you doing it. So the whole idea here is it's creating this bespoke data set of you defining the task and then recording you doing it. So you can go, and then after that, you get this giant data set. You can trade a model on it that knows how to do stuff. So really cool. And how do you guys think about, using TAO as an incentive to build these bespoke data sets that don't exist anywhere?
Yeah, Dataverse is doing it with Macrocosmos. Dataverse by Macrocosmos is creating these new bespoke data sets that are curated by validator requests, which is super dope. I think this whole initiative to build data sets through different means of procurement, such as Focus, is really interesting. Talking about this a lot with Anna from Vana, who's building her entire protocol around this procurement of unique data sets and rewarding people based off of the demand generated for those data sets. And she was really intrigued by this specific example. So really cool and really creative from the Omega team. And I think that this will kind of make other people think about, oh, what are some other ways that we can get, some data? Grass was kind of prescient in that procurement and that strategy for creating and collecting new data. And yeah, I think that this will just spark a whole bunch of other means to do that.
I'm a huge fan of this project. And it's not just because Prashant used to be Wombo's head of AI, but genuinely because I think it's super, super cool. And I think you guys covered the data slide well, but there's a second aspect of this which I find interesting, which is actually incentivizing human action and productivity. And so it's not just that you're getting screen recordings, which can be used to make better AI models, which obviously is fantastic, but it's also that you're literally getting paid to be more productive. And and aligning yourself with sort of a more agentic, productive, and consistent version of yourself, because there's a TAO reward attached to it, which I think is excellent. And just in terms of also going back to the whole conversation around consumer applications and where will the attention and TAO flow in a DTAO context. My fantasy is to have a to-do list that does itself, and Omega Focus is like the closest thing to that. It's still early, it's kind of underappreciated, but I'm extremely bullish on Prashant and his team to get us there.
It's like a true
Yes,
AI agent, like really building out the real AI agents.
that's really cool. I think like we tend to glaze over some of that stuff, especially being how deep we are into all of this AI supply chain, so to speak. So actually looking at what it does for the end user is really important. But I mean, now is probably a good time to announce that I'm going to negate all of Focus's progress with my own brain rot subnet. So brain rot to earn, TikTok scroll to earn. So
Oh God,
Prashant,
no.
it's over for you. It's over. No, I'm playing. We just need to not have that. Actually, we need to blacklist anyone who tries to create brain rot to earn. So
DTAO fixes this.
literally,
DTAO might make that actually possible.
probably.
You get immediately deregged. Well, let's get to the reason why we wanted to bring you guys on today. Your pyramid scheme you got going here. So you guys announced pyramid scheme over on subnet number 36. Could you walk us through this? Because you use some big words and we have little brains.
Yeah, certainly. So we do a pretty deep dive on this on the most recent novelty search. So I'd also encourage anyone who really wants to go deep to check that episode out. But at a high level, there are these things called cellular automata. And if you scroll down in that Twitter thread, you can actually see an example of one. And basically, it's just a set of rules for how you create a mathematical structure. And so you start with this black square, and then you have a rule that says, well, okay, if you have a black square, then in the row below it, you do three squares that look like this. And then in the row below that, you sort of keep iterating and iterating and iterating. And eventually you get these funky looking structures that are deterministic, but not completely predictable. And, that in and of itself is interesting. There's sort of like an active research area around these things, and the rules that govern them. Some rules lead to complete unpredictable chaos, but there's no structure whatsoever. Some rules lead to just these uniform, boring structures. And then there's rules that are sort of somewhere in the middle, and sort of on the edge of chaos. That's how people call them. And those produce the most interesting behaviors. And very recently, there's been some research that shows that if you feed in the cellular automata data on how the structure is sort of evolving over a series of steps, into an LLM, then that LLM is actually going to exhibit better performance on certain kinds of reasoning and logic problems, like chess, for example. And so there's this sort of intuition or hunch that inside of this cellular automaton evolution is hidden structure that it's almost like a mental steroid for an LLM that makes it more powerful, more intelligent than it would have been otherwise. So as far as the pyramid scheme subnet goes, we're just taking that research to a whole other level, because this interesting combination of cellular automata and improved LLM performance has only been done at a very small scale, basically for GPT-2 size models, and we're now in like the GPT-4, almost GPT-5 era. And so our goal is to produce a trillion rows of a cellular automata called Rule 30, to do some analysis on those rows, and then to use the data that we've produced in the training of a much larger, more modern day relevant model, and see if we see similar performance gains.
Super cool. So would you basically, once you have this trillion row data set, go and, spin up a new competition on Subnet 9 or something with pre-training a new model, or would that be something that you guys would do in-house?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know exactly where and how this is going to play out, but the intention is to use that data in the training of a new model.
That'd be really cool. You can have like everything from the data set through the training, through the like fine tuning, all built on Bittensor.
100%.
That's awesome.
What do
Yeah,
you think of the name, by the way?
I
We
love it.
were we were a bit more.
It's funny. I
Based
bet,
on the
because we come from more of the crypto side of the crypto AI dichotomy. So I think if you ask more people on our side of things what they think of the name, they'll love it. And probably the people on the AI side don't love it. So I bet you get a nice clean split down the middle. What's been the reaction so far?
Decently positive. We have to do now the sort of validator press tour and secure some weight. And so validators watching TAO Talk, you know what to do. Look at me, look at Sami. We're serious people. That guy behind me too. He built the whole thing. Give us some weight. Give us some weight, or else something bad's going to happen to you. That's my
give us
pitch.
give us some weight, or Ben won't get you pregnant.
There you go. You heard it from Brody.
This pyramid scheme is honestly the most Benzy name I've ever heard. Like when I heard this, like the subnet name, it had to be Ben. There's no one else that I know.
It actually did not come from me. It came from one of our teammates. But after we came up with the name for 39, which was edge maxing, which actually is a very appropriate name despite sounding kind of dirty. We knew that we didn't want to go with something generic for 36. And so our head of infrastructure actually came up with the name. And at first we're like, it's a little sketchy, but then we're like, no, it's kind of perfect.
I like it. I agree with 563 on it'll capture attention, just how edge maxing captures attention. I mean, if you're scrolling through the list of subnets and you see pyramid scheme and edge maxing, I don't know. That's pretty
You're
good
at
for
least gonna check
marketing,
it
pretty
out.
good detail. You're at least going to check it out. So it might play into your favor.
That's half the battle, really.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this on the last novelty search, but I have a super oversimplified framework on how I think about AI development. I think there's basically three main pieces. There's compute, there's data, and there's human attention and expertise. And now we've sort of got some seeds planted in all three of those categories. On the compute side, we've got edge maxing, obviously, where the goal is to make consumer hardware more useful. On the data side, we've got the pyramid scheme, where we're gathering a huge amount of cellular automata data, which has been shown in smaller ways to improve LLM performance in the past. And we're bringing it into the sort of 2024, 2025 scale. And on the human attention side, I mean, it's everything else that we do. It's our viral apps, it's our silly names, it's the pregnant men, it's these podcasts, it's our brand. And on one hand, it's fun. Like we're a team that loves to have fun and enjoy life and not just, make all of this boring routine work. But on the other hand, there's a real sort of strategic, business strategy there, which is people need to pay. People are surrounded with a sea of bullshit and real shit, and you have to stand out or you're going to get ignored. And we've got our own kind of flair and way of doing that.
Technical expertise backed by strong marketing. That's what it is, man. I think a lot of people could honestly learn from what you guys are doing on the mind share and attention front, and I think it's going to play well in your favor with the onset of DTAO, and I think a lot of people are going to have to kind of follow suit. So really great work, man.
Yeah. So Ben, Sami, really appreciate you guys joining us today. Where should folks go if they want to learn more about what you guys are working on?
Yeah, check out our Twitter, X, handle is WOMBO, and we're Subnets 36 and 39 on Bittensor. And we're cooking a secret project that's not a secret, but it's called W.AI. So you can follow along on that one as well.
Leaking the goods. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the TAO Times newsletter if you want an even deeper dive into this week's updates. And if you want to come join in the conversation, come to the Blockmates Discord. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks, fellas.
Nothing here is financial advice. It's for entertainment and educational purposes only. Always do your own research or speak to a financial advisor before making any investment decisions.